What is going on, everybody? Bobby Fye and Eric Sheetsaber. We're going to be talking through this NBA. It's a 9-gamer on DraftKings, 11-gamer on FanDuel, and just all kinds of value and injury stuff and projections that don't quite make sense to me. That feel a little ambitious, especially I'm looking at you, Atlanta. I think we've sort of calmed down on them a little bit, but on like earlier today, they had a Kongu and Capella both at 39 fantasy points. I have no idea where that came from. I think it's crazy. I mean, we did see a Kongu just put up like 50 the other night, but yeah. So I mean, the strategy was going to be fade the first games unless we get more than just Embiid out for Philly. But now we've got to deal with the New York situation without Cat. Precious is another one of the value guys that I think is reasonable, but the real thing is, where does the usage go? And the answer is, I think, what we saw all of last year, and that would be primarily Jalen Brunson, maybe some Mikal Bridges, maybe some Anunoby, but I think Brunson is bordering on like a core guy for me tonight just because of that. So what are your thoughts on that? What are your projections saying?
Right now, I'm getting none of it, so we'll see if maybe things change or whatever.
Interesting.
I mean, I have Brunson at 45. I mean, I guess that's okay.
It's pretty good for 8,400 when you got plenty of money to spend.
Yeah.
Saberson's got him at 47. I think I'd be surprised if he doesn't end up around 50 if the game's competitive and he's back in Philadelphia. I think that feels like a play to stamp on. Like he's always played good going back there, and these Nova kids are big on their Philly stuff. So I'm going to add Jalen Brunson to one of my core plays. I actually do think that makes plenty of sense with no Cat. But other than that, in the first games, I'm really happily not getting to really too much of anything. I may play a little bit of Paul George if he's available. If he's not, I think Maxey becomes like, you could play a Brunson Maxey type of stack. It's an interesting slate. What's showing up for you as the highest owned right now? And I guess we'll just start with that.
Well, I mean, now you have me like redoing everything because of Brunson, so I don't know.
Well, you don't have to do anything. It's just I think
right now, so now we have to wait.
Okay. All right. Well. Okay. Let's talk about. I'll talk through some other spend ups that I like. I really like Wemby tonight. I really like Jokic tonight. The Jamal Murray thing was just out of control, crazy last night. But Jokic against a true center, where they're not going to just be able to just double him the whole game, especially after the way they've been shooting the ball. Like I have a feeling that he's going to have a huge game. I have a strong feeling about Wemby. And those are my two favorite spend ups, not named Brunson. So I'm curious to see what we end up getting. I'm just rerunning my stuff as well because that Knicks thing, it just feels like with their way they run their rotations to not get to the Knicks fairly heavily, even in a not a great pace matchup, just feels like the right thing to do. And to me, Brunson making the most sense. And I love the little narratives, as you know. So him going back to Philly is always something I'm going to look out for. It just is what it is.
When did he play for Philly?
He played for Villanova. He went to Villanova.
Oh, that was so long ago. Okay.
No, but that's what these guys say. That's their thing, though. This is the Nova the Nova Knicks.
Okay.
I mean, other than the fact that they no longer have DiVincenzo, this is you got the three Nova kids all there, and you almost got 4 out of the starting 5 from there. See, I just reran it, and without putting any number on Vincent, I got 33% of them. I think it seems pretty reasonable. Also got to a little bit of Precious and a little bit of Anunoby. I think I would rather stick with Bridges over Anunoby personally. That's just my personal take. And again, another Nova kid. We've seen Bridges get hot a couple times. He's been more aggressive offensively at times this year, and I think without Cat, that might be an option tonight. Just getting a sprinkling of Paul George, still getting a sprinkling of Kelly Oubre, which I don't really like. I'd probably just X that one out.
Why not?
I just don't see any reason to. I mean, yeah, he had a bad game last night, but if you can't get there, it's really hard for me with guys. You're not going to get there without Paul George and Maxey, and then with them back, you're all of a sudden going to be in play. I don't think so, especially as it's an early game,
So what do you think of all these Atlanta guys?
So I guess that's a big part. I mean, again, you'd want to see a starting lineup, but fortunately, that game doesn't start till 8.
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, I'm underweight David Roddy, underweight Keaton Wallace, overweight Krejci, overweight Garrison Matthews versus the field, overweight Bogdanovich, and then a little bit under on Okongwu, Capella, and Daniels. I mean, they still have bodies. It's just, who is it going to be? Bogdanovich coming back from an injury on a back-to-back is going to carry this team? I don't know about that. Even though I'm currently a little bit overweight on him, I think Krejci is probably the one who we want to make flag plant a little bit. Like, if that feels, I mean, he's got a 7.3 projection. It's not like he doesn't have a great projection, but I actually might make his projection a little bit higher. I think he's going to be in the 30s more often. So I'm going to add him. I'm bumping him up. I'm bumping Jalen. I'm doing a different thing now, Sheets. I'm starting to bump the projections where I feel like I can get them instead of trying to add the players, because it's just led me to some weird builds too much the other way. So I'm kind of trying to mess with it and see if I can get the projections more where I think that they should be. And those are the ones for me. What are you getting from Atlanta? I mean, I'm sure it's a lot of.
I'm still not getting any of these Knicks, so I don't know what to say. But I'm getting Matthews, Bogdanovich, Krejci. I'm still getting all these Utahs. Keontae George, Sensabaugh, Castle, Vassell, Wemby. And I'll run one more. No, I guess I'm getting some Brunson. Let me just see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am getting like 40% Brunson after.
Oh, yeah. That seems pretty good to me. Okay. Yeah, and I think both Brunson and Bridges are in play there, but that's really it from the first games for me. Outside of, like, sure, if I ended up with a tiny bit of Paul George, if he's good to go, that's not going to make me feel bad. I'm not like going out of my way to try to get it. By the way, the Knicks, I mean, so there was a trade today. The Suns traded Kogi and 3 second-round picks for Nick Richards. Oh my God, the Suns are just very sloppy.
What is that all about?
They traded 3 second-round picks, which actually is like not nothing, you know. Like,
they need Nick Richards that badly? I mean, like,
their center, they've had the worst center production in the NBA. But what that means to us, and before you could say what does that mean to the average man?
Yeah,
I think that it means that as a good contrarian play, we should be playing more Mark Williams. And Mark Williams is 6,100 and will be completely lost at least somewhat on this slate. Richards has been the reason why he hasn't gone crazy every game, because Richards keeps going nuts when he's not in. So without him, Mark Williams at 6,100, I mean, he's even projecting pretty well. He's got almost a 6x projection. I really like that. That's what that means to me. And also that's a later game, so I can sort of swap. And I think that's sort of the main thing I'm doing. I'm going to rely a lot on the late swaps today, and just get, other than the guys we mentioned, just not really get too invested in these early games.
Dyson Daniels. I'm looking at some FanDuel stuff. Dyson, 7,200.
I think he's fine. The only thing about the Daniels thing is just it's not like he turned. I mean, he projects great. Usually, a guy at 7,100 projected at 40 or 7,200 projected at 40 is a great play, especially in a game where he could end up with like 5 steals against Chicago, who's sloppy. But there's just a lot of guys you have to consider him over, and there's so much value. It's just, I guess it depends on where you want to plant your flags, and could he get there? Sure, but it's not like he's like this offensive machine. He can still do it though. It's just the only real guy who's like the guys who really create offense for Atlanta would be potentially Keaton Wallace, definitely Krejci, definitely Bogdanovich as shot creators. And then you get to Daniels, who's you can feel one way or another about. We haven't really seen him in that role very often, but he's had some good games with and without Trey, so I wouldn't cross him out or anything.
You mentioned Daniel Gafford earlier today.
Yeah, I think that's still. Let's see where he's projected right now. I still have like 60% of him.
Yeah, I mean he's got a 7x projection, right? I mean it's pretty.
Yeah, you have no Lively to contend with, and a team that tends to play a true 5 at least for 30 minutes, which is Missy, and he's a good fantasy point per minute producer. But it was feeling lock button-ish earlier when we talked about it. I don't think it's the same. Well, I mean, 60% is still a lot, but it's not the same lock button play for me that it was. I'm trying to figure out why the Sims are giving me so much Cole Anthony. Are you running into any of the Cole Anthony?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to start to run it now.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little confused by it, to be honest with you. I like Cole Anthony tonight. I thought it was going to be a good contrarian play. And I mean, for what it's worth, he's basically just keeps getting there, and he's getting the work. It's just really a matter of whether he makes shots. Even when he doesn't make shots, he's still gotten there. Against Milwaukee, he was 5 of 15 last time they played him, and he still put up 36 fantasy points. Took 10 threes in that one. It's a good matchup for him to get a bunch of threes off. It's just a matter of whether they go in. And yeah, he's an interesting one. I don't like that I have 90% of him, but I do like that I'm getting to some of him. I just don't want to get 90.
Where on DraftKings or FanDuel?
DraftKings. Actually, after running the Sims, they're now giving me 100% Cole Anthony.
That's it? Just 100?
Just 100. Cole Anthony and Amin Thompson are the lock buttons for them. And
yeah, I'm currently getting like 8%, Matt Anthony. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused by it, and I wonder. So those were the two players that I actually made sure I wanted to have some of, but I think I'm better off just raising their projection a little bit, rather than he and Amin Thompson are the two I really wanted to make sure no matter what I get in there. I just think Amin Thompson. I mean, what else do we need to see from this guy? If he has a decent shooting day, it's like you could put up 60 easily.
Well, by the way, I mean, if you like the Brunson, you should probably like the Josh Hart, right?
So the Josh Hart, the only thing about him is that he's more. I usually like him in matchups where he gets to play in transition a lot. But again, no cat means more rebounds, most likely, which is what Josh Hart is exceptional at.
I mean, he's also one of the Villanova guys, right?
He's also the Villanova guy. I just don't think he's not like a guy who we're usually going to get much usage from offensively. And I'm going to rebuild again because it's giving me 0 of this Keaton Wallace, and I just would like to see an Atlanta starting lineup before I know what to do. Which again, delaying allows you to do because I don't know. I don't know about this Keaton Wallace thing. As I get it, he's 3K, but is there a chance that he doesn't play like at all? It's a non-zero chance. He probably plays some, but feels a little bit frisky to overreach. And he's currently, SaberSim's got him as a 7.5x at 3K. Looks like you do as well. I don't know what to do with that one. So that's one I'm trying to figure out right now.
One thing you could do if you're getting all these like too much of exposure, you could just make more min uniques, and they'll probably should take care of it, but maybe not.
Yeah, I tried it. This is what the Kyrie thing was so baffling with me yesterday. It didn't matter how many min uniques I went to. I was always getting 100% of them, no matter what I did. No matter whether I tried to pare him down, and then it would just say, "Oh, we don't like that." Everything was just giving me all the Kyrie, and it's partly because he was projected to have like a 0.2% ownership, and that obviously wasn't the case. But that was partly what was driving it, I think. But I like this idea, this new thing, and for people who are using this. And again, I'm still trying to find my way, but I think that changing the projections might be a little bit. And look, you're talking about a couple points, but that can mean a big difference in the NBA games.
Huge.
Just wanting versus wanting a certain amount, because I do feel like when I say like I want 5% of somebody, and if I don't put anybody else, SaberSim like wants to give me 100% of them. And I can't really figure out why. But that's what I've noticed so far. Trey Murphy now showing up and at 90%. Okay.
That's what I was saying earlier on FanDuel.
Wow. I'm on DraftKings right now, but that seems very aggressive. It's not like he's even projected that well. Like, I think that's a little bit nuts, to be honest with you. I love this Mark Williams thing, though. I really think that's like a play I could feel good about, regardless of anything except for that. I mean, I think he could get. I think he can go out there and get 50, and he's 6,100. You could play him with, you could play him with Wemby, but you could certainly play him with.
You don't get Gafford, right?
Then you got Gafford. That's the thing. That's what's going to make. I'm just curious where Wemby really ends up tonight with the only center eligibility.
And you don't think that one of these Atlanta guys you should probably play? I don't know.
No, you have to.
We got 3 centers we have to play.
Well, I don't think you have to play one of the centers. I don't even understand why they're projecting well.
Oh, that's what I was asking you. Oh, okay. I bet.
Yeah, I don't see any like the only way that it works to play all those guys is like. I mean, my builds. I'm getting 0 of their centers, but I did change the projection a little bit. Even at, I mean, Capella at a 32 median projection. It's not like this benefits him having Trey Young out. Like, yeah, Jalen Johnson, maybe they play a Kongwu and him at the same time. Maybe they don't like to do it, but if there was a time to do it, it'd be while you're missing 700 players.
Right.
If I had to pick one, it'd be Kongwu. But look, it's I don't know, man. It's tough. It's also a back-to-back. Capella's older. They don't like they always keep him lower on minutes. So, but the other guys from Atlanta, I am getting, just as you can imagine, all kinds of exposure to.
Well, how would you think that the starting thing is gonna impact these guys? I mean,
if Keaton Wallace starts, that's the big one for me.
okay.
If Keaton Wallace were to start instead of Garrison Matthews, and if Bogdanovich were to start, it would make me feel comfortable that they would let him play the minutes. Yeah, those would be, I guess, the big ones to look out for. Right now, Matthews and Roddy are projected, and that seems reasonable. But I'm assuming Krejci's going to start again because he's been starting anyway. I like this Krejci, by the way. I think he's good. He's a good player.
Who's that? Is that Ricochet out? Is that the story? Where's he still?
Everybody. Ricochet's out. Trey's out. Jalen Johnson's out. Jalen Johnson was out the last few games as well. Larry Nance Jr. is out. Even Kobe Buffkin, who they were giving minutes to, is out. So, as well as DeAndre Hunter. So it's really like a whole new team for Atlanta. It's probably similar to Philadelphia and last night, where you want to get at least 3. But there's actually other value out there tonight, which there wasn't last night, the same kind of value. So I don't know that you need to necessarily get to 4, but I do think that you're going to get 4 in cash games for sure. And I am now getting more Dyson Daniels than I was before, just with the way it's shaking out. I'm getting all kinds of Jalen Brunson.
Well, certainly, again, like you said, you got to wait to see who starts for Atlanta. I think, like you said, and that's good info. You said that the Keaton Wallace.
Yeah.
Like, so if he's actually starting, that's I don't want to say, I'd say a tough fade. I think
tough to fade. Yeah. It's a 10x way too much of the time to just fade it.
Right.
But likely he doesn't start, and then what do you do with him? I don't have an answer for that because I will have plenty of Krejci, obviously Dyson Daniels, some of the Roddy, although I'm currently a little underweight. And then
you want to run anything back, but then Chicago's there.
It's a good pace game. I said earlier I like the under, but it's a good pace game. I don't see anything on Chicago that particularly piques my interest. I thought early on in the day maybe they rest somebody that was unexpected. And look, Sabersim, for whatever reason, look, it's worked out a lot of the time, but they always like Jalen Smith. I have a little bit of Vooch, a little bit of Levine, but not like 2%. And I like that we don't have to make a lot of these decisions outside of the Knicks thing early on. Now it's going to be interesting let's see, Alonzo's out also for them. So yeah, I guess it opens up a little bit more. We knew he'd be out, so that's not a surprise. Desunmu will be back. He sat on the front end of the back-to-back. Lonzo played the front end. Will sit on the back end. And then Kobe White is in officially. Desunmu is limited to 24 to 26 minutes. All that does is just sort of muck it up a little bit for the Bulls. I think I think any of these guys are fine. If I ended up with them, I wouldn't care, but I'm certainly not going out of my way to try to do it. Even though I like that, I like the strategy of look, if you're going to play 4 from one, why not play one guy on the other side and just hope it stays close? It almost for 3/4 of the game last night, it looked like that was the way to go with Shea and then the 4.
Yeah, but you can see they were kind of trolling. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. You didn't see. It didn't look like OKC's best effort. Put it that way.
Did they end up winning by 20 at the end, or?
I think they won by like 15.
Okay.
I don't know what it was.
What was the spread at the end of the day? Probably right around there, huh?
It was like 17 or 18, I think. But again, like I actually was wondering if it could even stay that close. And shout out, this is what happens in the NBA. Every now and then you get to lose your guys and you fight a little bit. They lost by 16. Yeah. So. But a lot of these back-to-back games, I mentioned the Atlanta on the back-to-back. What just worries me with Bogdanovich, who was like questionable yesterday because they didn't know which side of the back-to-back he'd play on, and now he's going to play. But he played 26 minutes yesterday, and I don't know what they want to do with that. I'm a little bit concerned about it. I'm still going to end up with a decent amount of them, I think, no matter what. But it does worry me a little bit. And Bogdanovich, as you know, is a guy from the old days that we used to love to play. He made us money, I think, back in the day. He definitely made me money back in the day.
He's still, yeah, he's still not anything for me when he's been in Atlanta.
Since he's been in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
But before that, we had some Sacramento. I remember us both having some Sacramento.
And we prefer when he didn't start. Remember, like
exactly. All right, so I'm just refreshing some of the projections. But yeah, I mean, so now SaberSim has, of the top 11 players on the slate, I'm sorry, the top 10, 8 of them are from Atlanta.
Great.
Yikes. And I am okay with fading the centers. Look, they're both fine. Nothing wrong with them, but there's just so many other plays at center. Why do we have to do that? We've got Wemby, we've got Jokic, we've got the value in Daniel Gafford. We've got at least Precious has forward eligibility, but I love this Mark Williams idea. I'm going for it. He's going to be the one that I think I sort of strap myself towards. And it's a different slate on FanDuel because a lot of these guys have power forward eligibility. Well, I'm getting to and no longer any of the Isaac for me, no longer any of the Precious. I think that's going to change when I rerun right before lock here. I mean, like Precious could be like most slates 75% owned. If Precious was available last night before the Sixers news, he would have been like 75% owned, and now no one's going to play him. Or he's just going to get very low owned. And I just encourage anybody on a slate like this where you have all this other stuff, you just really don't have to do the Jericho Sims thing. And he'll probably start. And he's probably like fine to maybe get near 20, maybe. I mean, he doesn't even usually get there. I would just rather just avoid the Jericho Sims deal. And I think everybody else will too. I just wanted to throw it out there because some people go, oh my God, Jericho Sims is 3,400 and he's starting. And I'm just
it doesn't work that way with him.
Yeah, not for me. I'll do it on a slate where there's no other value, but we have just a plethora of it right now. I'm going to rebuild on DraftKings, and then I'm going to go back to my FanDuel builds. But Krejci is the one I'm definitely probably going to be the highest on for Atlanta. But also earlier today, you had Garrison Matthews with a 38 fantasy point projection. I'm like, there's no 8-man rotation thing where Garrison Matthews should ever be projected for 38 as a median. Not to say he can't get there, just that being his average. No, never. All right, let's see.
Well, you'll see some Brunson results by the time you have to do your stuff for the 8 o'clock games. That's good.
And you kind of hope Philly can hang in there just so he can really use he's the down the stretch guy. So
you think Philly's gonna? Oh, so there's no Maxey, or there is Maxey?
Maxey's in. George is still questionable,
and Paul George is in, right?
Yeah, and look, on a different slate where there wasn't value in other later stuff and things like that going on, you could probably take a chance again on Justin Edwards. After how well he played yesterday, I could see them giving him more run just because they're sort of a team that's lost. But I just don't think you need to do that 30 at 3K just to be that speculative, because it really would be just giant speculation. But maybe it's not even bad speculation. It's just the first game, just too much other stuff for me to get there.
How bad is Reggie Jackson move?
I mean, that was pretty putrid. If you can't close a game when those are your 9 players, there's something wrong.
Through the skip pass, like this lollipop skip pass that was like forced to be intercepted. I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why he's 33,000, right? I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he doesn't play anymore.
Yeah, now I'm getting 83% of the Wembanyama, which I'm curious, what does that mean for my Daniel Gafford? Still getting 43% Daniel Gafford. So that's 126% out of 200% used at my center. So who's my other center?
So just for fun, I will say who I have right now. What's this? Okay. Let me just do this again. And one thing that you can do with the late swap is an interesting tool is after you late swap, you can see like what your original exposures were and then what your current exposures are to see how it affected it all. So in right now on DraftKings, and this is so like irrelevant, but this is kind of interesting because I don't have like 1,000,000% of anybody. Like my top owned guy is Bogdanovich at only 57%. You
This is
know,
on FanDuel?
on DraftKings.
On DraftKings. Oh, interesting.
I have none of these 80 balls in there. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting. And then on FanDuel, that means I think I must have done a decent job with the uniques, I suppose. And then on FanDuel, let's see if I'm quite as lucky over there. FanDuel, they usually like to jam. Yeah, FanDuel, I'm not so lucky. FanDuel, oh my God. I'm getting 95% Krejci, 93% Dyson Daniels, 85% Wembanyama. It's like 85% Bogdanovich. So it's a and then there's a big huge score. Then Gafford and Garrison Matthews. So it's pretty concentrated over there. But hey, I'm down. We'll see what happens. But the good thing is that after the 7 o'clockers, at 7:50, I'll kind of run all this again, and we'll see what I actually end up with.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, I'm just running one more.
Mrs. Sheets has dinner coming in a second.
What are you guys having for dinner?
Chicken.
Oh, nice.
Very nice chicken. And that sounds good. As usual, if we're deep in something, maybe I'll go live a little later.
Okay.
You did a golf and a football thing earlier?
I did a golf and a football, and I put all my stuff up there.
Who's your favorite golf guy, by the way?
I picked Burns to win it, but in terms of ownership, I'll just take a quick look.
Do you have any sneaks?
Who?
Do you have any sneaks? You have anything good?
Yeah. Well, I don't know why Harry Hall's projected to be so low owned, and I can't imagine that's going to be right. But I like Harry Hall quite a bit.
That can't be right at all.
Yeah. Rico Hui.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one. I have a ton of JT Poston.
Okay.
And then my highest versus the field, because the field had him at 1%. I don't think that's going to be necessarily right either. Jesper Svensson.
Oh, there you go. So my highest for leverage, versus what the field is one, Harry Hall.
Nice.
Second is Ben Griffin. And then third is Max Greiserman.
Yeah, I feel like Greiserman's good because I've got him in my top 5 also.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's going to be as low owned as maybe
not. And I got the Fishburne. I got a good amount of him too.
Patrick Fishburne, I got a decent amount.
But the Hui, this 9% ownership projection can that happen?
I think that sounds about right for Hui actually.
Okay.
But I hand edited. There's some other guys that I threw in there. Like I really like Echeverria. I don't know why we don't go back to guys who are just playing the best golf.
Yep.
Bezadenhout, I didn't initially have much, and I ended up adding a lot more. But Fishburne, as you mentioned, I have 27% of Fishburne. And then the other one was Thorbjornsen, just on the fact that I think people won't play him as much because he withdrew last week.
And I literally have not looked at the football slate yet.
Yeah.
Okay, I will catch you later.
All right, take it easy, man. I guess I'm gonna stick around and talk a little bit of FanDuel real quick. Hero might be a must play. He's definitely not a must play. There's no such thing as a must play, I don't think, on this slate. If you're going to argue Hero without Bam is better than Brunson without Brunson going back to Philly and whatever without Brunson without Cat. I mean, it's not like they use Bam some in the offense, but I don't think that's something that I don't know. I'm not finding myself. I'm just going to take a look to make sure I'm not getting any Hero. Where is that even? That's on FanDuel. I mean, I don't think anybody 8,500 and Hero's fine if Bam's out, but I don't think you need to necessarily speculate on that. There's a lot of great plays, and I think Hero's fine on FanDuel. Like it's fine. It's not a play that I'd go out of my way to try to get to, but it's certainly not a must play if Bam is out. Sure, it's a better play, but I actually think it's more of the Brunson thing. Paul George is officially in for what it's worth. So I'm going to just go through my FanDuel exposures real quick, and mostly playing one big one with like 20 or 25 in the little 444, just because trying to focus more on the bigger ones, or the bigger one, I should say. Let's refresh. Let's rebuild the lineups over there, and then I'm going to hand build my 555 and when I get out of here. Saloon without, yeah, way too cute. I don't even understand the thought on that. Like, if it happens, I don't even care. There's just no way I'm ever going to be making that play for a guy who has no usage and upside when he does play. He's 19 years old or 20 years old now, I guess. He'll occasionally have a game just by being on the court, but I just cannot. There's no way in a million years I could talk myself into Saloon. I genuinely don't care what the results are tonight. It means nothing to me. I don't even know that he's directly the backup for that matter. They got other guys. It's not like they're out of bodies. So the Saloon thing, if he gets there, peace be with you. But I would never go out of my way to make a play like that. Personally, just because we've seen this guy start and play 30 minutes and put up like 6 fantasy points before. It's not like we need to do it. All right, now things are starting to make a little more sense with my builds, and now we're going to see where I'm at FanDuel wise for what I've got. Krejci currently my highest owned. Let's see, did I change the projection? Let's make sure I did. I'm just double checking here before I. So yeah, I'm getting a ton of the Bogdanovich over there. That seems a little too high for me, so I might actually manually go through that one. I don't love this projection on him. I'm not sure I agree with it. Sorry, I just read a Lamar clickbait thing that I need to read because you guys know that I'm obsessed with Lamar. Daniel Gafford is pretty hard not to play because you got Wembanyama at power forward over there. You got a lot of more power forward eligible players. So Bogdanovich, Krejci, Wemby right now. Bogdanovich, Krejci, Gafford, Wemby, and then Dyson Daniels is my highest owned, followed by Jalen Brunson. I love this Jalen Brunson play, and I am getting to a lot more Ja Morant over on FanDuel where it's a little easier to get him in, but it's pretty easy to get him in on DraftKings, and it came up before as a question. I'm fine with Morant. I just don't think that it's an automatic, like you have to do it. Obviously, we've just now lost Kyrie Irving. We kind of all saw that one coming. I don't know if there's a whole lot to do with it because we've seen them play without him, and everybody's priced as if they're not with him anyway. They don't have Lively also, but maybe PJ Washington makes it into a couple of your lineups. Maybe a dart on Jaden Hardy is not the worst idea, but I don't think I want to go crazy with that Dallas stuff. And again, we can revisit that later on. I'll be in the Discord tonight. Any Utah guys? Yeah, I like Keontae George. The fact that he's playing makes me like him. And I like Sensabaugh. So George and Sensabaugh are the two I'm getting to from Utah. I have no issue. I think Collier is very viable as well, but I just think there's better other value at the guard positions. That's the only reason I'm not getting to as much of him. So that's pretty much where we are, guys. I'm going to get out of here as well and I'll be in the Discord for any site members. I'm going to go live later on and try and get do a live Discord show for all site members, and we'll talk about some late swaps. But I'm going to say everybody good luck. I hope you guys crush it tonight, and hopefully we see the top of the leaderboard a little bit later.